Okay, so life as an abduction experiencer. So, in a nutshell, what's it been like for you?
Well, it's been interesting. It's been frightening. It's raised my curiosity to the point where I need to know more. Who has been involved in what way, and how many types of entities have they met? Have they had near-death experiences to go along with this? What were they? How did that work? It just keeps on and on and on. Would I want it to stop? No.
I mean, does it become easier to handle as time goes by, or is it something that it's difficult to live with?
Boy, that's a complicated question in many ways. Um, The fear never changes until you are taken. Once you're taken, you're aboard the craft, the fear leaves you. Once you're brought back, you still have a little bit of fear and you realize what happened and you realize you see, well, I call him my escort. Um, that's all okay. But then you wonder, when is it going to happen again? Sometimes you're given clues that it's coming. You know, a certain day, a certain time, it's coming. Do I want to stop it this time? Should I try? It's a mixture of emotions.
Mm. Could you stop it?
I have a couple of times, not with that particular escort, but with a particular type of entity that I don't care for.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to talk a little bit about you. Well, let's fast forward. When you finally realised where you were being taken to, um, who was there with you? Can you describe a bit about the environment that you were taken to? When you eventually found out.
I've been in maybe 4 or 5 different types of crafts. Um, and some of them, the openings that you have to go through, I'm guessing, are not large enough for humans. So they break you apart molecularly, um, and take you into a type of beam that is that's frightening. That's very frightening, and painful. And you realize that you are just broken. You're broken, and you don't know if you're going to get put back together. And then suddenly you're on the craft, and you are a human in one piece again. Although I realized that that is similar to what I experienced as a near-death experience. I was not in my vessel, my human parts and pieces. It was similar, so I kind of lost that fear. So the vessel, when I was inside it, or the vessel, the craft, was very small. There wasn't much to it. I saw no seams. I saw no existing. There was light, but I couldn't tell where it was coming from. Um, so that was basically the small craft. The larger ones, there were hallways. You could see an area where there was an operating system of some kind. Um, you could see entities that were, some, I guess, in charge, and some were responding to instructions. The hallway was lined with small robotic ETs, the type you would say had the great big eyes, the grays. But those, I'm sure, were robots. I called them soldiers. And they lined up in the hallway and didn't react to anything unless they were given directions. They just stood there.
Was it a hostile environment? Were the aliens themselves hostile?
No, no, not that I would say. The larger the craft, the more types of entities were working together. The larger gray was definitely a living being, and my escort, was one of those. The one that was what I called the doctor was an insect-like being, very serious. Nothing was funny. he showed a very, very slight bit of emotion when I got angry with what he was doing medically, and kind of passed to me this was something he had to do. It was part of his work. And so I had them touch my forehead. It took away fear and pain. And so that was that. It was just done. So that was another one. I saw one craft that created a great deal of emotion in me because it was a combination of mechanical, biological, you name it. It was a living being operating the craft, and there were many more like it. I was told that they were all in touch with each other, and it upset me from the minute I stepped in the door of that place. And I was under hypnosis. Kathy or Kathleen was hypnotizing me to see where I was. We didn't expect this. And it was organic, you name it, that's what was operating that craft. And I reacted to it. She brought me out of hypnosis because she said it looked like someone was punching me. She could see movement in my muscles. She could see fear. Some of that reaction has remained to this day, and the doctors can't diagnose it. And I know why, but I can't tell them. I can't tell them where it came from. I did ask her to put me under hypnosis again and to please video it, and she has that on video.
Okay. Well, did the aliens communicate with you at all? And if they did, how did they communicate? You remember
Um,
what they actually were saying to you?
Telepathy, I would say. They never opened their mouths. My escort did a lot by touch. Used his hand on my arm or my forehead, and I received some information that way. Like it's going to be okay touching this way. Everything will be all right. Don't be afraid. Never said I care for you or we care for you, but it was the same entity, the same ET, the same gray that took me from age 2.5 until just about 5 years ago. The same one has always come for me. How do I know? I just do. There's some subtle, subtle differences. If you put the CT in a lineup and I was asked to find him, I could. If I had others with me and they were asked to find him, they could not tell the difference.
Yeah. Okay. Well, a couple more questions on that. One, um, did you feel that you were being treated like an inferior species, or were you on a similar level to them as friend to friend?
Not friend to friend, but I was not being treated or looked down upon, let's put it that way. They needed some of what I had, I think. Just my opinion, not anybody else's. That they had taken out or bred out of themselves something that they suddenly realized they needed and still need. And I think they're trying to breed it back in. They need some of our DNA. They need something that we have in the way of kindness. They don't know, I think, how to love that strongly, emotions. They've lost that, and they realize they can't continue without knowing what empathy is, sympathy, those types of things, and to strengthen both our DNA and theirs.
Okay. What about aroma? Did you did you smell anything? Could you decipher the smell inside the spacecraft as opposed to what you would breathe or smell here down on Earth?
I did. Um, it's hard to describe. Have you ever smelled or felt something? I would smell ionization type thing, something that is super, it's sharp, very sharp scent, very, very, very clean. I felt like I could breathe really well. Um, it struck my senses, um, and it was almost too much for me. It was almost too clean. Um, I think that's the strongest sense that I had as far as smell.
Okay.
Yeah.